Alright, so today was the inaugural Indian Grand Prix, and it was kind of dull. And I think it was dull because we already know who won the Drivers' Championship. We already know who has won the Constructors' Championship. So there's not a whole lot riding on these last three races. We've got today, Abu Dhabi, and Brazil, and then the season's over. And when everything's already been determined, it's hard to, get excited with the race unless you see something that you haven't seen before. And we didn't see that today. The top three were Vettel, Button, and Alonso. And that's all to be expected. So there wasn't a whole lot of excitement. Having said that, the Boot International Circuit is gorgeous. I love the elevation changes. There are a few hills. It's definitely not a boring circuit, and I think I like the long back straight. It made passing fun, so there was some fun stuff to be had. Kobayashi was the first real accident, um, and then there were some more that ended up retiring. Um, Lewis Hamilton got into it with Massa again, which, you know, there have kind of been two things that have been consistent this season. Vettel and Red Bull are gonna, qualify on the front row and then usually win the race. And Hamilton and Massa are going to get in an accident of some sort. And it happened again today. I was watching it, and it was funny. DC and Martin Brundle, they thought, oh, Hamilton's going to get a penalty because Hamilton and Massa have gotten into an accident pretty much in one out of three races this season, it feels like. I think they've had five or six incidents. And, this one was turn five, and Hamilton went to the inside, and I don't believe Massa when he says that he didn't see Lewis, because when you look in the replay, he was looking in his mirrors going into the turn, so I have a hard time thinking that he just stopped looking in his peripheral vision. Um, but whatever the reason, Massa turned into the corner. Hamilton was there. They hit. Hamilton spun Massa. Massa ended up retiring, and it wasn't because of the accident. He ended up, uh, you know, again, the same issue that they had earlier in the weekend was the Ferrari, for some reason, the uprights on the suspension, when they hit the uh, higher orange inside curb, it just snapped. The whole front suspension on the left side snapped. So that was kind of his undoing. But I mean, it was a good solid race. There was plenty of racing to go on. The two Toro Rossos were battling. The Renault of Petrov was in there trying to get some points. Schumacher and Rosberg were kind of battling back and forth. Schumacher finished ahead of Rosberg. Um, it looked for a while there like Mark Webber was going to get back around Jenson Button, but it never happened. Um, so there's a lot of potential there, and I think the other part of the problem is the track was so green and dusty that there are some great spots for overtaking, but it wasn't worth, as DC and Martin pointed out, worth the risk, because once you ended up going, wide into a corner trying to, you know, go around the outside, your tires were so dirty that you were screwed for the next few turns. So it was interesting, and the promoters and the people who worked on the circuit did a great job. It looked great. No real teething troubles. There were some design complaints about the broadcast facility, but other than that, it was good. And Heikki Kovalainen again finished ahead of one of the mid-pack teams. This time it was Rubens Barrichello. Albeit Rubens had problems. Somebody swiped his front wing off during the first lap, but hey, a finish ahead is a finish ahead. Um, so it looks like they're going to be good for 10th in the Constructors' Championship. We're winding down the season. It's been great. I'm looking forward to next season, hopefully mixing it up. I'm hoping that, Kimi Räikkönen's hopefully going to be back at Williams. Maybe Nico Hulkenberg at Force India taking over Till's seat. So hopefully that plus the rule changes that go into effect next year, mainly um, the exhaust exiting at the top of the car, uh, will change things up because I think Red Bull, um, and not just Red Bull, it's really Sebastian Vettel. We've, I think I've given Red Bull's RB7 too much of the credit and not enough for Seb, because he manages to pull away. I mean, on the first 4 laps, he had pulled out a huge lead, and he didn't end with a huge lead, but nobody was able to ever touch him. And Mark Webber wasn't able to get around Alonso and Button. So Vettel's the real deal. It is a great car. Adrian Newey, designed a great car, but you need a great driver, and that's what they have in Sebastian Vettel. So I'm sure they'll do well next year. I'm hoping that a Mercedes or a Red Bull or a Mercedes, a Ferrari, or a McLaren will be able to actually compete with them because this year was kind of. I mean, once I got to the end and it was like Vettel wins again, um, which is great for him. But as fans, I like to see, something like 2009 was pretty good. 2008, mix it up a little bit, have some suspense and ongoing development. But it was a great race, and I'll see you guys again in a few weeks.